I saw an interesting interview last night between, I think it's James Gold, I think it's at the Heretics channel. He has long form interviews with various public figures who guests are on the right of politics, I could say. I'm not necessarily in politics, but certainly hold conservative, small c conservative views. His guest, recent guest, was Dr. Philip Kiszely, senior fellow of the New Culture Forum and cultural historian and lecturer at Leeds University, where he was subject to a cancellation attempt on campus. Somebody had painted placards on campus with the caricature of his head with the description of Islamophobe. In other words, some of the Islamists on campus don't like him. And when Islamists don't like you, it goes the way of Salman Rushdie, doesn't it? As he dares stand up against Islamism. So in this discussion, we actually was very interesting. A lot of things came out that they were talking about, which actually the things that I have been, strangely enough, came to the same conclusions that I have. Certainly read the brownshirts. They didn't call them that, but the same sort of people, Labour and Lib Dem activists, SWP members. Work is coming on quite nicely on the house. SWP activists, Corbynites, and their radical Islam nutters. So all these James Gold said he had a discussion with one of this lot at some festival about their anti-Semitism, and managed to get them to see the logical fallacy of their arguments, and from that they understood what they were understanding was a complete pack of lies, essentially. So some within the brown shirt movement, ones on the saner end of it, you could say, probably can be, and then certainly some of the so-called liberals, except they're not either the conservative, the totalitarian, some might be able to be deprogrammed, or rather as the virus, the mind virus, Sad's mind virus it is, when he talks about it might be possible to cleanse them of it, i.e. of the fairy tale of the politics of victimhood, fairy tale politics of there is an absolute good people and there are absolute bad people, and in the bad people corner you would lump Nigel Farage, Tommy Robertson, and on the good side we have the various victimhood groups. It's a fairy tale, but that's how the left works. It's them versus us, the bad versus the good, the proletariat versus the privileged, the suffering versus the oppressor. It's the politics of the children, which is socialism. So I came close to describing it, circling around it, as I call them, the brown shirts. But the interesting point was that at least one was turned, you could say. But that trouble is, there's the rest of them who have been affected. And you won't be able to deal with them. So the only way out, well, they were discussing tactics. But how do you deal with a society where so many have been infected with that ideology, the victim quote, ideology of oppressor versus the oppressed, and that so many are following these 1980s student union politics of the young ones who are now in government? How do you deprogram that? Well, calling out the lies, openly calling out the lies of their ideology and everything they uphold, even though they get causing them to go into a meltdown over it. You just challenge them with facts, and you very, very openly, very, very aggressively state out what they're supporting is a complete pack of nonsense for X, Y, Z reasons, and you're not going to tolerate it. And same goes for the media, calling out their lies. So when you see Sky News or the BBC, ITV, Channel 4, ITV, all the rest of them say the same thing, that it's supposedly peaceful events, that they're two-tier reporting, shall we say. Wait for our SD03K to pass by. So you call them out on the lies certainly on social media, or people do actually on. Yeah, well, that was a nice whiff of weed. Not mentioning anything there. So, and this is what happens on X. Every time the BBC posts a complete load of nonsense, they get a pile-on in the comments by people who are calling out, or even I don't monitor all their posts. What I'm informed is that an awful lot of the mainstream media's posts end up with community notes tagged underneath. That's the big change that Elon Musk brought in after he bought X, was the ability to add community notes onto tweets. Whereas if somebody posted a complete fabrication, somebody would be able to start a community note which then gets voted and or amplified or amended to it's almost always the left who have community notes against them. And so all these posts by the mainstream media have community notes underneath saying this is lies, this is what actually happened, or this is the context which they don't want you to know about. So they're on the death spiral. When they can't post on anything on X without it being noted to death, then they know that they must surely know the only people who do swallow the lies are the people who only watch TV and don't get their information from anywhere else. The people who are foolish enough to believe that everything that the BBC says, same with the rest of the mainstream media, is true, isn't amended, or doesn't have an agenda or a bias in some way. So the way to do it is to stand up to them and tell them that, yeah, we've seen through your lies, and just same with politicians, obviously. You just call out their lies, saying, no, stop lying to us, stop lying to us. These are the issues, this is what's going on, you're ignoring this, stop lying to us. I don't know if they will take notice, but basically, when enough people tell them that they are lying, they're not willing to put up with those lies anymore. They might realise, they might not. Basically, the strength in numbers, when they realise they just can't continue doing the same thing, because if same thing happens time and time again, they get community noted, or people just tell them you're lying, then they know that people are onto them, i.e. the public, you and me. So that's the way out. Tell them to stop lying.